Hi, and welcome back to Better You. I'm your host, Cynthia Thompson, and today I'm here with my co-host, Hafiz Stokes.
How you doing? Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining me today, Hafiz. And we have a few young people with us today from our community. And what we're going to be talking about today is about the situation with our school system. Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system is in so much trouble, and it's similar to the other school systems in not only in North Carolina, but all the other states here in the United States because of the money issues that we're having. But before we start talking, let's go around and introduce ourselves to our viewers. Let's start with you.
Hey, my name is Lashara Douglas.
And
My name is Adia Johnson.
and
I'm Nicoria Stewart.
and so what school do you all go to?
I go to West Meck.
West Mac,
I go to Harding.
Harding,
West Charlotte.
West Charlotte. Oh, so we got a good little mix here. So tell me, what all do you know about what's going on with the school system?
Well, I know a lot because I went to all of the community forums and
Ah,
the decision meeting that
Uh-huh.
went on.
uh-huh.
So yeah, I know a lot.
So share with us what you know.
Well, they at the decision meeting, they said that they were closing down Oakhurst and I believe another elementary school, and they're closing down Spall and Davidson,
Uh-huh.
and they're closing down Waddell, and they're moving Smith kids to Waddell, and they're moving Waddell and other kids to Harding, and they're moving Harding math and science to Philip O'Bear.
So it sounds like they're playing a musical chair, moving
Yes.
kids from
certainly
one
does.
school to another school. Do you think this is a good idea?
Not at all,
Mhm.
because it's making, they shouldn't change any high schools because that's where like legacy and all that stuff happens. So
Uh-huh.
they shouldn't have changed high school. They should have changed. Well, they really shouldn't have changed anything. But if they had to change something, they should have changed elementary, maybe, or middle school.
Mm-hmm.
So where are all those high school kids from, like Waddell? Where are they going to go? Like
Yeah.
maybe the underclassmen. We got people who weren't seniors. You know,
Uh-huh.
it's kind of hard to transition from a high school you may have started, even if it's a freshman or sophomore, and you just now, transition into school, getting to know your teachers, maybe getting involved in activities, sports, and things of that nature, and then you have to transfer to another school without, uh, you know, not because you want to, but you because you have to, like, or because your redistricting or your school closing or closing its doors, whatever have you. So, that's a big issue, especially in high school when you kind of like finding yourself, and now you have to adjust somewhere else. Especially in high schools. High schools are very peculiar about their surroundings. In middle school, you're still kind of developing your talents and your skills. But high school, you're getting ready, preparing yourself for college and the workplace, and then you have to transition from your proper school setting, and when you've been there for maybe 1 or 2 years, and looking forward to your junior senior year, now you got to go somewhere else, different group of kids, and it's just causing a big fiasco. And then and I know a little bit about the situation too. Even though I'm not in CMS, but I am a proud. Well, I'm proud of alum of CMS schools. But yeah, it's. I mean, I know the recession's hitting us really, really hard, and but I just really wish that different things could have been done as far as with the budget cuts, as far as with the schools. Because what I heard, what they're trying to do is use the facility, not necessarily close Waddell, but just not make it a high school. Just merge it with middle school and elementary school. All those surrounding schools, all those basically those neighborhood schools. Like a lot of people saying that's why they're a lot of people are appealing this decision because they feel like it's discriminatory to all the neighborhoods because we're trying to keep the inner city neighborhood schools because a lot of these kids don't want to ride an hour to school, to middle school, to high school, So that's we want to keep those neighborhood schools, but closing those neighborhood schools down will spend. Basically, you'll spend more money on traveling.
Yeah.
Bus. I mean, how are we really saving money when
Right.
you're closing schools? Because now these schools, you got to bus these kids from this neighborhood to almost 45, 30 minutes to another high school, middle school, or whatever. So we causing another whole fiasco. I know they're just trying to do something quick now. They really, like a lot of people were saying, they really should have thought through the decision and maybe gave us some time to come up with a better
Right.
solution. Because now, you thought you solved one problem, but now you ended up with another, you know, and then dealing with merging kindergartners all the way through the 8th grade in one building.
I
That
don't
can
know if
cause
that's
a
a good
lot of
idea or
different
not.
drama in situations. What do
You
y'all
all
think?
think that's a good idea to
Yeah.
have kids from kindergarten to 8th,
8th grade all in
one
one school?
No.
No,
But
because
they moving Smith to Waddell, and that's a K through 8 school.
Oh, it's
Already.
already?
It's already.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
I think it's like a whole bunch of buildings. I ain't been to the school, but I think it's like a whole bunch of buildings and stuff. But I don't know about them being in one building.
What do you two ladies think about that idea of
but
having
that's
a
not
K through
correct.
8?
Because like I'm not trying to pick on nobody though, but if you have an 8th grade student trying to pick on a kindergarten,
Right.
and you know how some parents overprotective over little kids,
Right.
so that's not gonna work. And then plus, the bell rings different kind of, because you know middle school the bell rings first, 8th grades go first, 7th, 6th grades, and you know how some people get confused. What about lunchtime?
Ah.
Is everybody gonna be in the cafeteria collaged in one area? That's not gonna work, because if a kindergarten on the other side cafeteria and the 8th grade on the other side, how that's gonna work?
So what do you think about having a school from kindergarten through the 8th grade?
Well, I feel that they shouldn't do it because the space, like, where you going to put these kids at, like she just said, the bus and all that. I feel they shouldn't do it at all.
Yeah, and it's just gonna just cause a lot of just internal drama. You know how students are. You know
Right.
You know it's hard disciplining kids anyway. So when you get, that's a big, long, wide stretch of kids. You got middle school kids who are going through adolescence and experiencing all different types of feelings, and then kindergartners and elementary kids don't know what that is, and then you got middle school kids who kind of have some idea of what different things are and what they're experiencing and they're going through, and you put all of that in one mixture, you just stirring up a pot of just trouble, drama. But I just hope that if they, you know, decide to do something like this, I don't want to. My main thing, I'm scared about the snowballing effect to maybe making other schools like it, just to cut money and save, cut budget cuts. You know, because, you know, I don't think anybody else in the country really has a program like that. Maybe private schools, but private schools is different because I mean, you pay for those schools, and all those people kind of discipline. They come from. I'm not saying CMS come from good homes, but those are private schools. People paid for those schools, so they value the education a little bit more than going to a public school, obviously. But it's just stirring up something that you might not want to do. So I'm really not really particularly crazy about the idea of doing that, but
the mailbox and the traffic light. Both are ideas from the minds of African Americans. Support the United Negro College Fund, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste.
How do you two told me you go to West
Charlotte.
West Charlotte, you're at West Mecklenburg. So your schools aren't being affected, right? So how do you feel about the other kids, what the schools are going through? What are your thoughts on that? How would you feel if you were going through that?
If I was going through that, I would like, personally for me, I wouldn't like to change schools, because I'm just starting to get used to West Mac, getting all used to the bills at once and where everything's at. And personally for me, as Smith come to our school and it's like take over our school and close our school down, we have to move somewhere to Hardin or Waddell. That's not gonna be good for me because I'm a freshman. And for me, I'm about to start over, make a new group of friends, make everything new and like personalized for me. I gotta find out where the office is at, where my class is at, where art class is at, stuff like that, electives. And it's not gonna be good because, especially for me, if you move elementary, middle school, and high school together, that's not gonna mix well together.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, obviously, they did have West Charlotte and West Mac on the list though, but when it came down to the top two, they start picking on Hardin and Waddell. And I didn't see why they picked on Hardin, and Hardin was like the first black school that everybody went to, and the first school they built up for CMS. So with no point of picking on Hardin. I could understand if they came over to West Mac, they picked on us. Our test scores may not be up that high. Anything might not be up that high in West Mac though, but still, why Hardin?
So how do you feel? How would you feel if your school was being closed down?
I would be very upset because
Uh-huh.
I went to West Charlotte since my freshman year, and I'm a junior now. And like to go to another school is difficult because you gotta, like she just said, find where your class is at and like
Uh-huh.
get to use to other people. It's just not gonna work.
Uh-huh.
I really don't understand why you closing down all these schools and you rebuilding new schools. You're not saving money at all.
Uh-huh. We're going to take a short commercial break, and when we come back, I want to ask each one of you, what do you think the solution should be? And get your thoughts on that.
When life's this hard, graduating can be even harder. But you can help Ativa and the students in your community make it through by visiting boostup.org.
Back to Betty. I'm your host, Cynthia Thompson. I'm here with Hafiz Stokes and some teens from our community. And before we went on break, I asked each one of them what their solution would be for this problem here with Charlotte Mecklenburg schools. So let's start with you and tell me what you think we should do.
I think what we should do is put everybody back where they belong.
Uh-huh.
Because in different areas, you got different schools. And like where I stay, we got West Charlotte and Olympic.
Uh-huh.
Where my grandma stayed, Allegheny and Ashley, they got Hardin and West Meck.
Uh-huh.
And that's not going to collide together.
Uh-huh.
Because if you got West Meck and Hardin going together, some kids may not be in the IB program, some kids may not be.
Uh-huh.
And think about it, some people might be in the math and science program.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not in the program. I'm just a regular student in regular classes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to work.
So what do you think? What do you think they should do?
I think that we should raise money so we can try to keep the schools up
Uh-huh.
and to help everybody. I mean, we all should work together because it's affecting everybody.
Uh-huh.
That's what I think the solution should be.
And so now let's see what you have to say, your solution.
Well, one of their decisions was to move math and science to Philip O'Berry.
Uh-huh.
And Philip O'Berry is already overcrowded. They shouldn't have moved math and science to Philip O'Berry. They should have just kept us as we were and then have all of the other kids from Waddell or West Meck or wherever
Uh-huh.
to come to Hardin and fill up the space so we can be, overpopulated like we were last year because this year we're underpopulated.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, we should have just kept it as it was and then moved everybody else. Like Waddell should have moved everybody else to where they wanted to go or where they should go.
Uh-huh. It's easy for us to sit here and talk about what we think should happen, but the bottom line is there's no money. And so whenever you have just a little bit of money, you have to make some sacrifices somewhere. And unfortunately, it's hitting our students. And I never thought I would live to see the day where schools would be closing. When I was growing up, you said, oh, you can be a teacher, you can always have a job. But as we see, they laid all those teachers off. They have students that want to play sports have to pay now to play sports. And just recently on the news, it said that the state said they're going to cut even more money. So what do you all think should happen? What should they do?
One thing I can say that I just been noticing since like the whole CMS closing in schools, it seems like we're opening a new school or somewhere every other year, yet threaten to close another one. So how it just doesn't seem. It just seems a little odd how we opening another school but yet closing another one. So what we should do is, instead of investing so much money in opening new schools, put into the money and the time into the schools that we already have. You invest in what you already have and make those schools better, provide the adequate teaching, educators in those schools to get those scores or get the satisfactory rate up higher. And one thing that can alleviate that is kind of do like a school census maybe, and to find out what's your ratio of students at different schools, to find out what your student capacity is. Obviously if one school has a lot more students than another, then because at one point a lot of schools were getting overcrowded. That's why their solution was to build other schools because of the overcapacity. But I say you look at your numbers and see how many numbers you have in those schools, and if those schools are overcrowded, then build and expand the schools.
Right.
Expand the school. Expand, like you go down in Georgia and Texas. Those schools, those high schools are huge. Those high schools are huge. They're like almost like little universities. Because when the population grows, they just expand. They don't have. Well, like Charlotte Mecklenburg has so many high schools. I meet people I went to school with. They said, I hear Charlotte has like 20 high schools and building some more. Like down in Texas, in Atlanta, and Georgia, we only have like 5 high schools.
Wow.
But they're huge. They're like they're like little universities. So they just, and then every year, they always say the population grows every 5 years or whatnot. So just invest in those schools, expand them, expand them. That would maybe alleviate some cost of all these different schools, and whether the cost of opening and closing those schools. Just expand on what you have.
And you know, Hafiz, is mighty strange that all the schools they're talking about closing is predominantly black. I just wonder. I don't know. I didn't want to bring it up, but the writing is on the wall. You can't help but see that. It's like
the term they use is neighborhood schools, which we all understand is, if you look at the ratio and the students that go there are predominantly minorities, and black people or of sorts. So, and that's one thing that made an outrage to a lot of people. Why a lot of people, the supporters of those schools, are appealing and protesting, obviously, for the closings of these schools, because they're using the term inner city, but it's really our schools that we support and that we have our students going to. Yeah, so it is kind of coming off a little bit discriminatory or whatnot. So. And that's wrong in itself. If it's if people
that's
feel
the case.
if that's the case, people feel like that, then you can make a case as far as being violated discrimination against your color, creed, or whatnot. So I think they have a fair
do you all feel that way, that they're just closing down the black schools?
I think they are.
I think so.
Yeah,
Because
Go ahead.
they're only focusing on schools that don't really pay attention to their election, like the school board election. And if the white Caucasian people in their section of their city, and they pay attention to every election, they vote for all of the school board members, they would want to favor them because they elected them there. But us, we don't really pay attention to all of that. Well, some people don't, and they just like make it as, oh well, they're not paying attention to us, so they really don't care. They don't know anything, so we just shut them down and keep it moving.
You were about to say something too when she spoke up.
Okay, like when you said that they mainly close in black school. If you look at SPA, SPA is in the black neighborhood. SPA ain't not, well, I can say it ain't nothing about all black, but I could say it ain't nothing but like 2 or 1% of white people, like a couple of white people that go there. If you look at Davidson, it may be some because of the IB program. Because some black people are smart, some white people are smart too. But if you look at it, White Davidson, it's the IB program. It's smart. Smart kids go there, so their scores should be up. I can understand SPA, but still, SPA grades could come up if they tutor everybody one-on-one instead of rushing through everything at once in the classrooms. If you look at, say for it's me, if you look at me and I don't understand nothing in the classroom that you just said, and when I take that ELG or the ELC or whatever, and I don't understand anything that you just told me over the year, and I take the test and I get a 3. Okay, that's the math. Science, I take a test and I get a low 1. Reading, take a test, I get a low 1 again. For reading, if I understand nothing, you probably was going too fast, or either I wasn't probably doing nothing. Some kids don't care about their education. For me, like I told my sister, I said, if you want to go to school and you want to learn, you go to school and learn. Don't worry about your friends or whoever else don't want to learn. If you want to learn, you go ahead. For the kids that don't want to learn, y'all can stay at home, watch TV, do whatever they do at home. Leave the kids at home that don't want to learn. Leave the kids at school that do want to learn. Because my sister, when she come home, I got homework to do. I'm like, you want to play? She was like, no, I got homework to do. I was like, okay. And so I was like, okay, do your homework. And when she need my help, she'll come knocking on my room door. Shara, I need your help. I help her. Because my sister, she ready to learn. When she she be the first one to wake up in the morning, ready to go to school.
Okay.
And think about it, I said, okay. I said, you ready to learn? I said, what about your friends? She was like, I'll leave them high. Because sometimes, because when she brought her report card home the first day that she was in kindergarten, she had straight threes, never straight threes. And I was like so proud of her. I gave her $1 or whatever I had in my pocket. But the thing about schools is you got shuttle stops, you got Rockwell open in Huntersville, and then you got other schools, elementary schools. You closed out elementary schools for what? The kindergartners. They kindergartens through second grade. They helpless. Like,
So do you think with them sending you all to this big school that you're going to get a better education because you have more advanced stuff there to work with that you don't have at the school you are now? Do you think that'll happen?
Well, I think it's more about just like you saying, like more about budget cuts.
Yeah.
And
It's about the dollar bill at the end of the day.
It's about the dollar bill. It's where it's like cutting off from the bottom instead of cutting off from the top to the bottom. It's cutting off from the bottom to the top. So, and which is probably the teachers. Obviously, it's not not gonna be none of the executives. So which that closing down schools and teachers, laying off teachers is the case in their eyes. So, and then you got all these different students. Now you got to shuttle all these different students to a location, to a school.
Right.
And it's because you take this one block of area where these different middle schools surround, like if you look at the CMS chart, you have middle schools and elementary schools that surround a high school.
Right.
Different blocks are there. So those kids, they usually from those particular middle schools and elementary schools go to that one high school in that area. That's how it works. So when you close, and so Wydale, all those schools surrounded by Wydale, all those schools got shut down. And now you got to move. And instead of shutting down Wydale, now they're going to merge them all together in that one building. So, and that's their solution to cutting everything. Just cutting from the bottom instead of from the top.
I present to you Algebra 2. Who will step up to his challenge?
Me.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college.
I know we all can sit and complain, but on another note, we all got to do our part too,
Right.
And support our schools and make sure, and parents got to make sure they keep tabs on their students, make sure they are fulfilling the deeds of their schools, because if we were, I know CMS is going to do what they got to do, but if we were doing our part too, we might not have been in this predicament.
This is true.
So I know everybody wants to point the finger, like, they shouldn't close the schools, but I always try to look at sometimes from two different perspectives. As let's say if I was somebody on the school board and then a parent, but this should just be a fair warning to us as a community, everybody who's in those communities or those different schools, to make sure they support those schools, make sure they support their students, and make sure they keep tabs on their students, make sure they keep tabs on their work and their progress, and just be involved. Be involved. Don't just come up there to pick up your kid from school and then go home. Be involved, be visible, do something, do the community charity work involving in the school. CMS likes to see that kind of stuff, believe it or not. And that's how a lot of schools back in the day in different countries, they're not different countries, but different states, a lot of the schools get saved because of a strong
PTA.
Yeah, PTA or I've been in CMS so long. Yeah, you just have that background, that backbone, that foundation to support your school. That can definitely help.
You had mentioned that you went to some public forums and some, what was the other thing you went to?
The
decision meetings. How did it feel going to those things? Because I'm guessing this is the first time you've ever done that.
Yeah, because
What was that like?
at the community forums, I didn't go to the first one that they had about the discussion of closing Hardin at South Mecklenburg. But I went to the other one at Hardin, and everybody, I was sitting with the band, and it was the band and the football players, and then all the rest of the people, and then it was Smith on the other side, and they were supporting us too, because they didn't want to come to Hardin. And it was all of the parents and everybody that spoke. Everybody was saying basically the same thing, just in a different way. And the CMS board meeting people, they were just watching. They were like, had the little poker face, cause they didn't want to say like different emotions, and most people, they were targeting their words towards Peter Gorman and Joyce Waddell. And Peter Gorman, his vote really doesn't count. Like, they be pointing stuff at other people. He really don't matter. Like, cause they point their fingers at them. His vote, he could raise his hand or not. His vote really doesn't matter. So it was kind of funny, cause it was some people that they were going off on the board members.
Yeah,
but
I see on TV.
But it was real. I found out like some real good information, because I didn't know that Waddell was a low performance school.
We could go on and on talking about this, but unfortunately, like I said before, at the end of the day, is money is what's the driving decision on this. And it's going to be some hard choices that they're going to have to make. I mean, just think of like if you were at your house and you had a budget at home and you wanted to take a trip. Well, you would have to give up something in order to go. And we can talk about this on, and hopefully Charlotte Mecklenburg, they will come up with a solution. And if you all want to know more information about what's going on in the school system, you can go to my website at www.abetteryouthshow.com and continue to join us every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Channel 21.